There is one thing that feels nearly impossible to accomplish as a solo filmmaker. I love cinematography and working on my skills as a cinematographer. I love finding new and interesting compositions I can create, figuring out ways to light my scenes naturally and artistically for the story I want to tell, and all the little details that come together to bring my vision to life. So many factors can affect your cinematography, but when you film yourself by yourself, you usually leave out one element that can also impact your work. Let's talk about camera movement. It's easier to move the camera when you're behind the camera. You can go handheld for a natural feel, or throw it on a gimbal to get steady motion in your action shots. But when you want to be the main character of your own story, you have to stick your camera on a tripod, or find other ways to be creative with movement. Today, I want to show you how to add camera movement to your cinematography while being in front of the camera. This can help you elevate the story visually without needing to rely on others for help. But before you can add movement to your shots, you must master not moving the camera. You don't need movement to tell an incredible story. Static shots oftentimes can be more impactful than adding movement, letting the audience focus on the action in the frame. They are also great for improving your skills faster. Without needing to think about movement, you can improve at creating compositions and be more mindful of what you keep in and out of frame. Movement should be used with meaning if it's going to be implemented, otherwise it can be a distraction. A beautifully well-composed static shot will always beat out a mediocre shot with movement. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use movement if you want to, I just prefer adding movement when it will add to your shot compared to it being still. I also don't want you to feel like you can't make engaging work if you don't move the camera. Most of my work has been with me in front of the camera with no movement used, and I think I've done a good job with what I could do, having to keep my shots still. Most of the time, static shots will always be enough to tell the story. And if you master the static shot, you are ready to add camera movement. When starting out, you might add some movement through editing if you don't have the tools to move your camera. In editing, you can add dynamic zooms, either zooming in or out, and I have often incorporated that into my work. It's not the same as actually zooming with the lens, but at least here you can still focus on your compositions, and if it works with what you filmed, you can digitally add that in post. But if you want to start advancing the types of movement you can utilize while also filming yourself by yourself, then you need a camera slider. Depending on the camera slider you choose, you could also have fewer or more ways you can express movement in your work, so that's why I went with the Axoon Top Rig S60. I reached out to Axoon to see if I could share with you ways to use movement in your cinematography, and I definitely made the right choice with this slider. The Top Rig S60 and its baby brother the S40 give you more creative ways to move the camera than other traditional motorized sliders. Let me show you some of my favorite camera movements you should incorporate. Let's start with the push-in camera movement. Here you have the camera going towards your subject. This helps show the audience what they should pay attention to. You make them focus on what your main character is doing or saying, or a detail in the frame you want them to notice, and this tells them it is important. This also helps raise the tension in the scene if you want that emotion to overcome the audience. Bringing you closer to your character can push you towards their thinking in whatever situation you put them in. And with the opposite of the push-in, you have the pull-out. This camera movement is good for revealing information, context, or something new in the frame. You can reveal where a character is located or other characters in the scene, and this can help make your subject feel more vulnerable, pulling away from what they are dealing with. Both camera movements are easy to set up on the slider, and with the S60, you have a great range of travel distance to cover. You can set A and B points to be specific about where the camera moves, and no matter how far you travel, you can also adjust the speed of the slider and always know it will remain smooth whenever you start or stop your motion, so it never looks jittery. All these controls are easily accessible on the slider itself, but if you need to start the movement while standing in frame, there's also an app available to remotely control the slider. If you like to do multiple takes in one recording, you can also set any of these movements to a loop so it keeps going back and forth, whether you have set points or not, and you know you'll get the shot you want. Since you can have the camera pushing in and out, you can also pull off a dolly zoom shot, also known as the vertigo effect. If you're pushing in, when you go to edit, add a zoom out to achieve this look, as seen in many well-known movies and TV shows. And if you're pulling out, add a zoom in effect for the opposite results. You might not be able to utilize full camera control like these shots, but you are getting closer to the look they achieved and can get some interesting ideas. Many motorized camera sliders can probably get you similar results depending on their length and speed options, but one unique trait about the S60 is the parallax system it offers, which allows for moving pan shots. With a pan shot, you usually keep the camera in place and turn the camera to track a moving subject, but here we can make it more dynamic by having the camera also travel. With your shot going from side to side, the camera can also pan outwards to help reveal information like where your character is and move with them throughout the location. You achieve this by loosening the guide rails on both ends and shifting the pan in this direction so your camera will turn outwards as it moves in either direction. But if you rotate the rail in the other direction, you could achieve an orbit shot. Now, when the camera goes from side to side, the focus will stay in the center of the frame. This works best when the subject stays still as the camera turns around them, making it more dynamic. Now obviously you can't fully orbit around something with a slider, but this gives you more choices and freedom to create unique shots you couldn't achieve before. When you set the guide rails back straight, you can also achieve tracking shots. Instead of having your shot push or pull away from your subject, the camera now moves with your character. This allows you to follow your character from behind as they move away, or track the character in front of them as they walk towards something. With this type of movement, you can create tension in the right context, leaving the audience wondering where you're going, or simply follow the action of what is happening in the frame. Instead of tracking the subject forward or back, you can have a trucking shot, following them from side to side. You can track them from side to side, or introduce new details in the frame that the character is heading towards. There are many ways you can move your camera horizontally, but with the S60, you can also introduce vertical movement, for example, the tilt shot. With this movement, we are using the parallax system of the slider to tilt the camera up or down while the camera also moves in that direction. This is another way you can reveal something in your scene or showcase the scale of the subject in frame depending on the direction you tilt. The Top Rig S60 is very capable of carrying your camera horizontally with its solid weight capacity, but even vertically it is strong enough to carry my setup to get a tilt shot or a boom shot. This move is when you keep the shot straight, no tilting, and just raise or lower the camera. This is another way you can reveal your character or what they are doing. You see, many of these camera movements allow you to reveal something in different ways, but then you can experiment with how you present the world and how you give the details to your audience. If you want to be in front of the camera, you absolutely need something like a motorized camera slider if you want to incorporate movement in your work. With the Top Rig S60, you can see there are many different ways to move the camera. You can get creative and mix different types of moves that can elevate your cinematography, but remember, there is nothing wrong with sticking with the classic static shot. You can achieve so much in a frame without moving the camera, but if you want to elevate it with movement, now you know countless ways to do that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment below ways you like to incorporate camera movement, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.